This is Erica Lopez.
And Ty Dickinson from the University of Oklahoma Weather Lab with our weekly regional forecast starting on Friday, February 16th, 2018.
We have another great podcast for you today, packed with newest monthly and seasonal outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center. Also, stay tuned for some good news in the Drought Monitor. Welcome back, and thanks again for watching.
Beginning with our normal week 1 temperatures, above normal heights are favored in Texas and shifting east and north up into New England under above normal heights. Probabilities are very high for much of the areas east of the Appalachians, especially in the Carolinas where they are into the 80s. Meanwhile, the high plains in western U.S. have odds tilted towards below normal, with the highest probabilities in northern Washington, Idaho, and Montana at also around 80%. This pattern is consistent with the negative Pacific North American pattern.
As for precipitation, the most prominent feature is a large region where above normal precipitation is favored, ranging from the southeast into the Ohio Valley and northeast. A stationary front is expected in this region and should bring some much-needed rainfall to much of these regions.
As we look at a little larger time frame, the overall pattern is slightly shifted west and has slightly less strength. Above normal odds favored for temperature across the eastern two-thirds of the CONUS, with odds again very high in the extreme southeast. On the flip side, probabilities remain fairly high in the Pacific Northwest for below normal temperatures. Temperature anomaly forecasts depict temperatures up to 10 degrees above normal across the entire southeast and New England regions. For below normal, the current forecast is for temperatures to be about 5 degrees below normal.
Precipitations in days 8 to 14 looks a little different from days 6 to 10, since uncertainty across the west is currently high, resulting in near normal for virtually the entire western third of the CONUS. A large region of above normal probabilities, and again apparent due to the forecast stationary front in the region. Highest rainfall anomalies are forecast to be in the southwest Ohio Valley region, and rainfalls up to 3 inches above normal.
How has drought changed in the past week? Beginning with Oklahoma and Texas, much remains the same. Moderate drought expanded slightly in Texas, especially in the southern parts. Oklahoma had no changes. However, as we shift east, there have been some major improvements as a result of rain coming in from the Gulf. Northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and most of Georgia had at least one drought class improvement. All severe drought has been removed from this region. Hopefully by this time next week, there will be more improvements with the stationary front forecast.
Let's now examine the half-month lead outlook for March. La Niña conditions are continuing, and along with other climate teleconnections help drive this outlook. Relatively high below normal probabilities are seen from the northwest into the northern plains and Midwest. Teleconnections and model guidance are strongest in the New England region, where probabilities are into the 50s. Above normal probabilities are also favored in southern Florida and far southern parts of central and western CONUS, despite a possible cold start to the month.
For March precipitation, the far southern parts of the U.S. are favored for below normal precipitation. Above normal precipitation is favored in the high and northern plains, consistent with the La Niña signal. However, the other region of above normal odds is slightly pushed southeast from a typical La Niña position due to influence from other teleconnections. Large sections of the central and eastern CONUS currently have equal chances due to competing factors.
The CPC has also updated their seasonal outlook for March through May. This outlook indicates above normal temperatures for the southern half of the U.S. and up to the eastern seaboard. La Niña conditions are expected for at least half of this time period, and long-term trends also play a role, especially in the northeast. Below normal temperatures are favored for northwest and extreme northern plains.
Precipitation-wise for the spring, below normal precipitation is most likely for a large part of the southern CONUS, including the southern half of the west and the Gulf Coast. Above normal precipitation is most likely from the northern Rockies across parts of the northern plains into the Midwest and Ohio and Tennessee river valleys. This precipitation pattern is consistent with the persistent impacts of La Niña.
Just a quick update on La Niña discussions. While conditions are continuing, the current forecast is for a transition to neutral status during the springtime and continue for at least the next several months.
Once again, this podcast has been brought to you by the University of Oklahoma Weather Lab, a top academic weather and research program in the United States and partner of the Southern Climate Impacts Flying Program. Watch for your forecast Fridays on the Oklahoma Weather Lab channel on YouTube.